Hey, brother. Hey, what's going on, man? What's going on? Come. Anyone find it incredibly frustrating to navigate this world? Or is it just me? Maybe it's just me. I find that the more relationships I get into, the harder it is for me to commit to anyone long term. And I think psychologists have talked about this. The more people you get into a relationship with, the harder it is to form like an intimate connection. Something to do with impaired pair bonding. The more sexual partners you have, like it doesn't take much for me to lose this interest. So I can already extrapolate that someone with multiple sexual partners is gonna have trouble getting into like a long-term committed relationship. I don't know, based on my own experience, this is what I think. I might be wrong, but there are exceptions out there, but they are not the rule, so to speak. So I think for the vast majority of us out there, the more relationships that you get into, like serious relationships, the more of those you get into, the more heartbreaks you go through, the harder it is for you to get out there again and form meaningful, long-term committed relationships. It's just how it is. And I find it hard to accept this fact, but your past does influence your future to a certain extent. It's really hard to escape your past, your traumas. People say let go of your traumas and forget your past and move on. I'm not sure it's that easy. And people say that your past doesn't really define you. You gotta live in the moment. It sounds good to me, but how easy it is for people to do that in practice. If you grew up with all of these negative experiences, if all you ever know is rejection, heartbreak and sorrow, it is so darn hard to stay positive. I'm not someone like that, but I know people who has only experienced, heartbreaks and traumas. It's very hard for them to trust people. It's very hard for them to open up to people and, to receive love and to give love to other people. It's very hard for them. Hurts people. But the vice versa is also true. Helped people help others. If all your life you've only experienced, love, affection, and you go through life with positive reinforcements from your peers, from your parents. Your parents is the main thing, like when you grow up in a loving family and everything you do is supported by your parents, and you get to make mistakes as well, but at the end of the day you know that your parents got your back. Then you grow up to be a very secured, well-adjusted individual, and that will set you up for the future, because now you have a high self-esteem. You know your self-worth, and then you can be your most authentic self, and you go out there and treat people well, because that's what you've experienced. But why am I saying all of this? I'm saying all of this because, I haven't had a lot of experience with intimate relationships. But when I do get into one, I fall in love fast and I fall in love hard. I like to say that I've moved on from my first ever crush, but how hard is it to move on from that? It's going to be different for everyone, and I certainly don't speak for everyone, but I find it incredibly hard to let go of that first ever rejection. Even though she's now married, she's moved on clearly, and I have the clearest sign that I have no chance with her. I still think about the past me who would, message her constantly and waiting for a reply, knowing that she already has someone else in mind. And so I've had a couple of relationships over the years. None of them are that serious. And some may even classify these relationships as situationships, in which you're more than friends, but you're not really, there's no label on it. You guys are not a thing. You're not public about it. And that's a big issue in this day and age, because social media, dating apps, how easy it is for, you have this false sense of choice, this false sense of abundance, in which you think you can get with all of these people at a touch of your phone. Like you do a few swipes, you see all of these handsome, successful, attractive looking men on the internet, and you think you have a chance with them. Maybe. But it's all about instant gratification nowadays. The most attractive looking man, they can get with all of these women, but they are not fulfilling relationships. It's all one night stands. And you think you have a chance with him because there's so many of those people on the internet. You have access to all of these guys at the touch of your fingertip. So people can't be bothered getting to know each other anymore. And even I don't have a lot of options, but I feel like with the invention of social media and Instagram, TikTok, and dating apps and everything like that, I think to myself that there's always someone out there for me, and I can always go on the apps, or I can always book a flight to another city, be with another girl if I want to. So there's none of this need to commit anymore. I think that's a shame, because the more I engage in this dating culture, the more I lose interest in anything long term. Real talk, I lose interest in this stuff. The more I date around, the more I see other women and fantasize about this idea that we might be something, you just lose interest in these kind of stuff the more people you date. People say date around so you know what your preferences are. You know what you like, you know who you want to be with long term. But I think the opposite. For me personally, the more I go out and the more I date around, see all the women, the more I lose interest in the women that are already in my life. I see my colleagues all the time. I see all of these women all the time, out in public. I see other people that I know from other social events, and I just lose interest in keeping in touch with any of these people. I know that I have some people who are interested in me, but for some reason I just don't want to keep in touch with any of them. and that's a shame, you know. I've become really closed off. But I think that's a me issue. It's not really social media per se. But I guess dating apps, social media, the currents, dating markets, they all have something to contribute to my problem at the moment. But yeah, it is what it is. I can only control what I can control, which is my mind. Yeah. That's the only thing I can control. And I just gotta stay positive. Anyways, hope you guys are doing well. Stay strong. God bless. I love you all. Thank you for tuning in. And I'll speak to you soon.